One more example. Gonna hang. This one I'm calling Come Out. The story of Lazarus. We all know that, but again, there's more to the story. So we all know that Lazarus dies. They send people to go find Jesus. He's dead. Jesus, that's his friend. And he waits a couple days. Lazarus ends up being dead 4 days. So when they find Jesus, he's not that far away. I'm going to show you. This again is a Google map of the Temple Mount. And this is where Lazarus was. That's actually where Lazarus' tomb is. The distance is 1.71 miles. He was less than 2 miles away. And he waited. Why? Because God's glory had to be shown. Right? So we want to read this story. Now keep in mind, right there's the Temple Mount. And it's not that far to where you needed to go. Then Jesus, again, groaning in himself, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone lay against it. Jesus said, "Take the stone away." Martha, the sister of him who was dead, said to him, "Lord, by this time there is a stench, for he has been dead 4 days." Jesus said, "Did I not say to you that if you would believe, you would see the glory of God?" Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead man was laying, and Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, "Father, I thank you that you have already heard me. And I know that you always hear me. But because of the people who are standing by, I say this, that they may believe that you sent me." Now when he had said these things, he cried out with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come forth." And he who had died came out bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was wrapped with a cloth. And Jesus said, "Loose him and let him go." Couple of things going on here too. He, like I said, he was only a mile away. It's less than 2 miles away. But he had to make an example for everybody that was alive. Lazarus died, so the fact that he came back to life would have been proof enough for him. But the example had to be set for everybody else to see the glory of God. Right? They were the ones that put him in the tomb. They put the stone in front of it. Right? He had to tell them, okay, you barricaded him in there, you let him out. This is a picture from 1906 of Lazarus' tomb. Kind of gives you an idea of what it might have looked like when he stood there. This is a picture of inside Lazarus' tomb. Down here, there's a couple steps that go down. That would be the crypt where the body was. So he would have had to come out from here, walk up these steps, go up these steps, up and around, and I'll show you. In a minute, I'm going to show you a video of how far down that actually is. Which was two things. Lazarus had to work to get out of the tomb, bound up. It wasn't just like you roll a stone away and he just falls out. This was deep in the ground, which is why he had to yell. Lazarus, he had screaming. And then they probably waited for a long time, giving people a chance to doubt. It probably took him a few minutes to walk out of the tomb because he was down in there. So this is outside the tomb of Lazarus. This is in the West Bank. That's why you'll see a bunch of Arabic writing, a lot of mosque and Muslim stuff around. Right here is the entrance. There would have been a stone rolled in front of it. In a minute, we're going to show a video from inside, walking down to where the crypt actually was. So keep in mind, Lazarus had to make this ascension bound up, in grave clothes, with cloth on his face, his hands bound up. He had to work to come out of the tomb. So he's still going around. Imagine this. I doubt the handrails were there at that time. So this is quite a bit of steps. Some of us would probably get tripped up just walking down them free. So right at the platform right there where they are, they're going down into the crypt where the body was laid, which was down in there. So you can imagine being inside a cave with a winding staircase down in there. Jesus has to say, Lazarus, come out. And he wakes up, bound up, and has to work his way out of the tomb. If Lazarus wanted free from that, he had to come out of the tomb. So the point of this is, all four of those examples, I'm almost done, show you have to work sometimes for something you want. Right? Those examples can give us examples today. You know, if you think about the blind man, if we want our spiritual eyes opened, we have to be willing to let our situation get a little worse. We have to be willing to fight our way through the darkness. We got to be willing to push against the crowd in the darkness in order for us to open our eyes and see. Right? If you want freedom to walk freely, like the guy at the pool, get rid of the things that are holding you up. Get rid of your crutches. Put your feet on the ground and carry the burden out away from everything else. You take charge of it. You take control of your comfort zone and fight against the crowd and get rid of the thing that's holding you back. That bed and that lazy spirit that guy had was holding him back from his miracle. That's what we need to do. We need to pick up the crutches that we have, come out of our comfort zone, wake up and do something hard sometimes to get our miracle. Right? If you want a spiritual blood transfusion, then grab a hold of the authority of the Master and allow him to transfer his virtue to you. Right? Going against religious laws and seeking just the area that Jesus holds precious. Don't care about what everybody else thinks. It's okay if you approach the altar unclean, because you will leave clean, but you got to approach it unclean. He will take that on. He took all the sin of the world on him. That's what he did in that moment with that woman. He took her uncleanness. Just by default. The next thing is, if you want freedom from death, then you have to walk out of the tomb that you're in. Right? Fight your way out of the area that is holding you in death. Right? Same goes with the people who put the stone up against there. They blocked him in the tomb. Sometimes as Christians, that's what we do. We write somebody off and we seal them in a tomb. And Jesus is like, no, you open it up so they can be set free. Leave them alone. Allow them to come to me. That's setting them free. If use it today, if you want freedom from alcoholism, set the bottle down. Grab a hold of the authority of the Master, the Bible. Start reading it. You want more forgiveness? Put yourself in a situation to forgive somebody. You want more love? Allow yourself to love somebody you don't. It's easy to love people you like. If you want more love, go out and love somebody you don't like at all. Work for it. Right? Like I said, you want forgiveness? Forgive somebody. God, I've said this before, God, if you pray to God for courage, He's not going to give you courage. He's going to give you a chance to be courageous. That's what we have to do. That's becoming the miracle, If you have diabetes and you want set free from diabetes, you might have to change your eating habits. You have to change your situation. It's a covenant. God will say, I will do this for you, but you have to do something for yourself. All right? That doesn't mean God won't heal people because they need it. Some people are predestined to be healed. But that doesn't mean you don't still earn it afterwards. You want freedom from cigarettes, stop buying them. Spend that money on the Bible. That's working at it. You're going to have to fight through all of the junk that goes with that in order to set that aside. But He can help you. That's part of the work. And the reason I'm going to go to 2 Thessalonians. For when we were with you, this we commanded you, that if any would not work, neither should he eat. If you are not willing to work for what you want, you don't need to have it. That could be spiritual, that could be physical. That's supposed to be the law of the land here. Welfare is not part of the Bible. Some people are physically unable to do things, but they can contribute in some way. This is God's law. Spiritually, if you are not willing to work for your spiritual food, you are not allowed to eat spiritual food. You got to earn it. You got to work for it. God takes pride in work. Become the very thing you seek. Be the miracle you need. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to see it. It's hard to do it. But what else do we have? We can sit there and stay blind our whole life, or lame our whole life, or we can try. You'll never know how great God is until you try it. Until you actually are willing to walk out of the tomb. Until you're willing to search for the authority of Jesus. Right? Grab a hold of the wings, His tassels, His authority, and let Him transfuse you with His blood. Right? And in the case of the blind man, your situation might get a little bit worse, but then look at what he gained. Several years later, he finally got to see when he never saw. And imagine the things that we think we see now, if we could just wash our eyes the way He told us to, what will we be able to see next? What miracles, what special world would we be able to dive into? And He opens our eyes and we're like, wow, I never knew this existed. That's what it is to become the miracle.